everyone, and welcome to Facebook Live. I'm Lisa, an animal care specialist here at the Desert's Edge, and I'm here today with our Coati, somewhere in there. This is Lando and Chica. It's a special day for Lando in particular because we are celebrating his birthday, which is today, May the 4th. Both Lando and Chica are 3 years old, and they came to Brookfield Zoo in November of last year. Now, coatis, also known as Coatimundis, are relatives of raccoons, and they live in North, Central, and South America, ranging from Arizona to Argentina. They live in diverse habitats, ranging from high-altitude mountain areas, woody canyons, forests, and tropical lowlands. Similar to raccoons here in the Chicago area, they are omnivores. They eat small vertebrates, snakes, and insects, as well as fruit, eggs, and even carrion. However, unlike raccoons, which are primarily nocturnal, coati are diurnal, meaning they are active during the day. Coatis spend the day mostly on the ground, foraging for food. They are really well adapted for foraging because they have many sensory receptors in their nose and snout, which gives them a great sense of smell. And they have a lot of muscles in their snout as well, and that gives them great flexibility when they move their noses into the rocky crevices to forage for food. You may be able to even see this in action right now that they seem to be foraging for some mealworms and crickets on the habitat here. At night, the coatis will climb trees to sleep in, hidden from their predators, which include snakes and crocodiles, large cats, and raptors. Coatis have sharp claws and are skilled climbers. In fact, they have double-jointed ankles that are extremely flexible, and you might be able to see this as they climb up and down. They're able to climb down a tree head first. Coatis also have long tails, which they use for both balance and communication. Coatis are social animals living in groups, or what we call bands, of 3 to 20 members, which are usually related females and their young. Males leave the band when they are around 2 years old, and they remain solitary, only returning to interact with the band during mating season. Only one male is allowed into a band at a time. So right now you can see them foraging. Because it's Lando's birthday, we wanted to give him some extra treats. Now you can see that Chica is the smaller animal in the back. She's in the wood wool back there, and she really likes crickets, whereas Lando prefers mealworms. So Lando's in the front. He's got a darker coat with a little bit of a longer tail. He's also bigger in size. Males typically are much bigger than the females. So Lando is currently about 16.5 pounds, whereas Chica is about 9 pounds. And that's pretty typical to have the male be larger than the female. Do we have any questions that we might need to get answered about the coatis?
Yes. Can you remind us where they live here at Brookfield Zoo?
So we are in the Desert's Edge habitat, and it's the focus is on animals that live in desert areas or the outer edges. So coatis actually live in a variety of habitat. They're pretty well adapted to just about anything from, like I said, canyons to forests to mountainy areas. And you can see Chica up there climbing, so they're really good climbers. They're actually really good swimmers too, so if there's like a little bit of a lake there, they might go swimming as well.
How many babies per litter do they have?
They can have 2 to 6 babies per litter. It's a 77-day gestation. Right now, this pair is not a breeding pair. They both came here, like I said, November, but we just introduced them. We wanted to do a physical implant for Chica, the female, because we didn't want breeding. So you might be able to look up Dr. Mike's video blog that he did, when you can actually see the procedure of Chica getting her implant, her Deslarelin implant.
How do they sleep?
Good question. They actually curl up, so they will tuck their nose into their bellies when they sleep. And they do in the wild will sleep in trees to avoid the predators and just to stay a little bit safer under the tree canopy. And they will curl up. So they're actually their genus name Nasua is Latin for nose, but the original people that named them actually called it Coatimundi, which is their real name. That means nose belt. So that that kind of describes their sleeping pattern.
What advantage is their black and white coloring?
Oh, great question. I would imagine that the advantage would be just to stay kind of hidden in the shadows, especially if they're in a forested area. They are relatives of the raccoon, so it's just probably a similar kind of coat coloration to raccoons, with obviously some slight differences. There are 4 species of Coati. So Chica and Lando here are the white-nosed Coati, and then you might see like some of the more southern species will actually have a lighter colored coat, and they will have stripes around their tails that look more raccoonish.
Speaking of their tails, how do they use their tails?
You can see when they move around, they generally keep their tails kind of stuck up in the air. They use it, like if you see Lando down there, they use it as a sign of communication to kind of let everybody in the band know where they are during their foraging time during the day. But they also use it for balance. So as you see them climb up and down parts of the exhibit habitat or on in the wild, they will actually use that tail for balance.
Can you remind us what their names are and which is which, how we can tell them apart?
Absolutely. We've got Lando, which is the larger one in the back, foraging by the woodwall there, and we've got our female Chica up at the top. So 1 male, 1 female, and they're new. They came here in November of last year. So they're new to this habitat here.
What kinds of things do they eat both here and in the wild?
So they eat a variety of food. They are omnivores, so similar to raccoons here, they kind of just forage for anything they can find. They do like a lot of invertebrates, so a lot of different types of bugs, snakes even. They'll go after scorpions, lizards, and then they'll go after different types of fruits and roots. So anything, pretty much anything they can find. And in the Brookfield Zoo here, we give them some meat, and we give them what we call an omnivore diet, and then different types of chows. And we do have a rotation of produce. We try to give them a variety of different fruits and vegetables every day, so it's novel and they don't get the same diet every day, which would be more similar to what they would eat in the wild.
Do they make any noises?
They're relatively quiet animals, but they do make little tiny chirps. I haven't heard them recently because I think they're too busy, but they do make very quiet chirps. They use that for communication amongst each other in the band. And then I actually heard a little tiny one, but they will also make some larger noises if they feel threatened.
So are all of the males and females, that's the wrong way to put it, are they sexually dimorphic, or do these two just look a little different? No,
they are sexually dimorphic, other than, the appearance-wise they look the same, it's just the size. Males are much larger, so they can range anywhere, a small female being like 5.5 pounds to a large male being about 26 pounds. So they are, other than the size, they look very similar.
What kind of enrichment do they get?
They get lots of enrichment. We do try to do lots of puzzle feeders because they are very intelligent animals. So we have some puzzle feeders that we hide food in, and they have to kind of interact and manipulate that item to get the food out. You can see Lando is just checking out one of the hanging shelves that we have out there. We could put some food up there. We've got a pulley system so that we're able to hang and, you know, raise and lower that shelf to make it a little more challenging for them. They do like a lot of substrates, so we do try to do forage pits for them as well. You can see in their hammock they got some straw, they've got some wood wool in the back, some hay in the front. So it's just a variety of different items that they can manipulate.
Are they endangered?
They're actually not. They're considered least concern through IUCN, but there are some areas that they're getting a little bit more threatened just because of habitat loss or even hunting. Those are probably some of the most crucial things that are making them a little bit more endangered in certain areas, but they are considered least concern.
So you did mention that Chica has the birth control implant. So why don't we want these two to breed?
Well, that's a good question. These guys are managed through the SSP, the Species Survival Program, and we have we get some recommendations based on genetic, what's a good genetic match. And because there is a little bit of relatedness between Chica and Lando, we do not want breeding right now, so she did get her birth control implant. If we ever do decide to breed, it would be based on what the SSP recommends for what would be a good genetic match. But at this time, we are not breeding.
What's their lifespan?
They typically are around 14 years. They, you know, a lot of times in captive situation, they might live a little bit longer. So there have been some animals that have lived into their late teens. In the wild, it seems like they live a little bit less, so maybe 7 years or so, but the average is around 14 years.
Do you do any training with them?
We do. These guys are, like I said, they're new to this habitat, so we had to get them used to the habitat here, and we did a lot of shift training to get them used to the routine. And they're really great at shifting. They are crate trained, target trained, and scale trained as well. So we're able to work with them in a protective contact setting where we can feed them different types of favored food items when they are doing the appropriate behaviors, if we're targeting them or if we're shifting them.
Do they have good vision?
They do have pretty good vision, but I would say they mostly rely on that sense of smell because of all those sensory receptors in their nose. They're very strong sense of smell.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about their nose and how powerful it is?
Yeah, if you see Lando, for example, down there, he's using that nose to kind of smell around. But because they have so many muscles in that nose, they can actually kind of move that nose out of the way to stick their nose into a rocky crevice and then kind of get it out of the way so that they can get whatever diet item is in there, like say it's a little lizard or some sort of insect. They can kind of shove their nose out of the way and pick up that piece of food.
How high can they climb?
Oh, that's a great question. As far as the actual number, we would have to look that up, but they can definitely climb, you know, a tree, and in the wild they will sleep under the canopy just to shade themselves. So they are really good climbers, and like I said earlier, they have double jointed ankles in the back of their back legs, so that they are actually able to rotate their ankles around to give them a great sense of gripping when they're climbing head down.
Can you explain a little bit about what shift training means?
Absolutely. So all our habitats here have an area, holding area, that we are able to have the animals go from point A to point B. And this helps us with just routine husbandry, but it also gives them something to do to, they go off exhibit to get some food, they go on exhibit to get some food, and it's a way for us to interact with them so that they can have a variety of places to go where they don't always just live on exhibit.
They're in the habitat where the rock hyrax used to be.
Absolutely, yes.
So where are those rock hyrax now?
Well, our hyrax were shipped out to other institutions. We have changed the Desert's Edge building to kind of not only incorporate the desert animals of African areas, but we've also wanted to include some North American species as well. So we've got, as obviously, these Coati, which are new. We also have another new animal, the Ocelot, which is located behind us in what was the caracal habitat. So those animals did get shipped out to other zoos, and we're able to focus now on both African and North American animals that are living in what would be the edge of a desert or similar habitat.
Someone wants to know who's reading the questions.
Well, this is Lynette, our videographer.
What's the most interesting fact that you know about them? That's my question.
Oh, for me, it's the nose. I think that's a really cool adaptation that they can kind of shove it out of the way and get whatever food that they might want to get that's stuck in a place that maybe some other animal can't get to. They also have very powerful claws, so that way they can, if they smell something in a crevice, they can actually dig in there. So to me, I think that's a really cool adaptation. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Once again, I'm Lisa. This is Chica and Lando, and may the 4th be with you.